que vous avez découvert tout à l'heure, donc Hadas, Elisheva, Hila. Je vais également vous présenter alors Élise, que vous n'avez pas vue tout à l'heure. Je vais lui passer le micro d'ailleurs.
Merci, bonsoir.
Donc Élise qui est blogueuse pour son site Lilith et qui, je tenais absolument à ce que cela ce soir pour échanger avec l'équipe parce que c'est quelqu'un qui écrit des articles formidables et qui, en l'occurrence sur ce film, a écrit un super article que je vous invite à aller lire. Donc je te remercie beaucoup d'être là pour m'accompagner pour animer ce débat.
Avec grand plaisir.
Maybe just, of course, the idea is that people ask questions, but maybe to start, maybe a little bit about the origin of the film. We know you for people that are not me at the beginning. We know you because you like to talk about intimacy, nudity, and I think you do it a very specific way. But what makes you to make this second film? Is it like an extension of the first one or not?
Thank you, and thank you so much for being here. And I would not say it's an extension of the film. Is it really loud?
Yeah, it is.
It's loud, right?
It is a bit loud.
Okay.
C'est bien comme ça ou pas?
C'est bon? Right. Okay, so I don't think it's an extension of the film. I think it's a different route, maybe, because my first film, People That Are Not Me, dealt with, I would say, people who cannot be authentic, like it's about authenticity and about how people are unable to be authentic in front of people that they care about. And I think this film is about more about vulnerability and about how people cannot be vulnerable. So it's like the same tree but different angle. After the first film, I was acting at the lead role, but this time I chose Elisheva Weil to play Avishag, and I think it brought another dimension to the characters. And I also chose to tell the story through 3 different chapters and 3 different angles. And so I think I created a more panoramic view of this generation and more angles to tell this story, and also through this older guy character. And so I think my inspiration is the same. I'm always in search of what is intimacy in our generation and how people are sometimes disconnected from their feelings. And but this time I chose a different way to tell the story.
Je traduis?
Oui, vas-y.
Donc le premier film, en fait, c'était plutôt sur le problème d'être authentique devant ses proches, la difficulté à être authentique devant ses proches, alors que ce film-là, c'est surtout le sujet de la difficulté à être vulnérable devant les autres. Du coup, c'est comme une autre branche d'un même arbre, un autre angle d'un même sujet. Et là aussi, dans ce film, il y a 3 chapitres avec des personnages différents et notamment aussi un personnage plus âgé. Donc ça permet d'avoir une pluralité de points de vue et donc une vision peut-être plus panoramique du sujet. Et donc c'est toujours la même source d'inspiration globalement, mais avec un angle différent.
Est-ce que ça vous va si on procède comme ça Donc, on va prendre certaines de vos questions. Après, moi, je pense que c'est toujours intéressant de ne pas parler trop tardivement avec les acteurs également, parce que les réalisateurs parlent beaucoup en général. Et Hadas a énormément de choses à nous raconter. Donc, now, I would like to talk a little bit with... we will talk a lot about the film, but maybe with the actors too.
Okay.
Just, I would like to know how it is to work with Hadas. Is it maybe with a lot of improvisation, or is it all written in the script, or how you work? Because the scenes are very with your intimacy, and yes. I think it's not easy. And I would like to know more about how it works exactly.
Okay. So first of all, me and Hadas know each other well before we shoot the movie. So, I entered a world of like trust in a way. I felt like I'm surrounded by friends, so I could allow myself to do everything because I felt like I'm just hanging out with a friend in a way, even though I worked. What do I want to say? About the improvisation. So basically everything was written, but when we did the rehearsal, the guy, Max, he was my boyfriend, like my ex-boyfriend. And when we did the rehearsal, sometimes we had like some moment of just hanging out on the sofa doing bizarre stuff. And then Hadas say, oh, it's beautiful. Like she made a film about like life usually, so she know how to catch the perfect moment and to put them in the movie. So there is this part of me and him having the fake sex, when there is the teacher that you don't want that you see and that we don't know that.
They're doing this. They know.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but what was beautiful about it, that like when we watched the movie 1 year and a half after the first time, it was a presentation of our relationship of the beginning. It's like a memory that is gonna be staying forever. It was so beautiful to watch it because we forgot that it's happened. It was the beginning of a relationship, we had a lot of fun, and then started fighting, and so it was like a very touching moment. So it's not improvisation, but it's catched from life, most of the story.
Ouais.
Ah oui.
Donc Elisheva disait qu'elle se connaissait déjà très bien avec Hadas avant le début du tournage et que du coup elle se sentait à l'aise pour tout faire sur le plateau parce qu'elle se sentait entourée d'amis et que donc avec l'acteur qui joue donc son compagnon dans le film, qui était vraiment donc son ex, ils étaient très à l'aise et parfois ils étaient en pause, il se passait des choses et du coup ces choses-là sont rentrées dans le film et ont été filmées comme des moments en fait, puisque de toute façon le film c'est un film sur la vie et donc il y a aussi des moments de vie qui sont entrés dans le film, même si il n'y a pas tellement eu d'improvisation en tant que telle, puisque tout était déjà pas mal écrit au départ.
I just want to say, but there is also, because there is a lot of one shot, so we knew what's gonna happen, and we knew like what was the beginning, what the end, and also it was written. But we lived this moment like again and again. We shoot it like a few times actually, and then she chose the best part of it. But so it was a bit improvisation inside of the thing that's been written before. Now it's the time, so
it's okay.
Il y avait des parties en fait qui étaient quand même improvisées au sein d'un même plan quand il était rejoué dans la continuité plusieurs fois.
I have a little bit French. I can try. I will do half.
Yes.
Okay. J'ai un drôle histoire sur le monologue. J'ai pratiqué le monologue avec mon amie sur un pub in Israel. I just didn't tell them that it's from a film, it's for an audition, because I want to try it, and I was talking it so much at home. Then I just started to tell them about the abortion, and after this I was like, okay, it's for a film, it's for an audition, c'est pas vrai. And they were shocked, and so I asked them, when were you with me? When were you weren't with me? Like, I checked stuff. This is the story about the one.
Ah oui, du coup, donc elle racontait, j'ai même pas vu quand c'est que ça a switché de langue,
oui,
c'est tellement dedans. Ah oui, donc en gros l'histoire c'était que pour s'entraîner à faire le monologue annonçant qu'elle est enceinte et qu'elle va avorter, elle a beaucoup répété chez elle et puis après elle est allée dans un pub avec des amis et elle leur a fait le monologue sans leur dire que c'était un monologue pour une scène de film et en leur disant juste à la fin et ils étaient choqués et du coup ils savaient pas que c'était pas vrai.
Perfect. So Hadas, really your film is maybe about your generation also. Do you think your generation is in search of identity, or what do you?
Identity is
A lost identity, or what do you think?
I think so, yes. I don't know how to answer it. Do you think it's about identity?
I think identity in general is a hard question. No, but like, before you give me the mic, let me think about it. Is it Shalan identity? Yeah, it's identity of a generation.
I don't know if I would call it identity. I think it's about. I write mostly about relationships and about connections. I think that if you see it in the bigger picture, it will be about. I don't know. I don't think it's about identity. I'm sorry, Jonathan.
Thank you for your answer.
Donc, à la question de est-ce que c'est un film qui parle de l'identité de sa génération, elle dit que c'est plutôt un film sur les relations interpersonnelles et les connexions entre les gens que sur l'identité en tant que telle.
Maybe as a woman director, is there something, because I think you say sometimes that there is no female gas, there is no male gas. I think it's a real point of view, a real woman point of view in your film. Do you agree? If
it's a woman point
of view. Yeah, a woman point of view. Do you think only women can talk about sexuality maybe in this way? Or do you think it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman?
No, I agree. There is not equality between women and men in the cinema world, but I don't see myself as a woman director, and I don't think it's you have to talk about this and that. I do feel that I have more privilege as a person of color, kind of, and because I'm a woman, that I can speak about things that maybe white men would not be able to. So I know that I can do that, and I know that it would be kind of rude if an old guy would take Elisheva for this kind of scenes. It would be kind of inappropriate. I know that I am able to do this because, first of all, I made it on my first film by myself, and so I've been through this very delicate situation by myself, so I know how hard it is and how you really need to be very sensitive, and I'm really aware of it, and I think it's the right thing. At the moment I'm working on a series, and it's a lot about Me Too, the Me Too movement and the sexuality, and we have like this sex coordinator. I don't know if you heard about it, but it's a big deal, and I see it as a really complicated situation when you put a young woman, even if she's very confident like Elisheva, you still really need to be super sensitive with this. So I don't think it's about being a woman, yes or no, but I do think that while I'm a woman director, I'm more able to understand her difficulties and her sensitivities, and just because I'm also a woman, so this perspective I have, but other than that, I don't think that there is things that a guy would not understand, yes or no. It's just these specific things. While directing young woman actresses, you need to be a young woman in order to understand, and I'm happy to be able to do this.
And for me, it gives me confidence.
Donc, est-ce que ça change quelque chose d'être une femme? Est-ce qu'il y a un male gaze? Est-ce qu'il y a un female gaze pour ce genre de sujet sensible comme on a vu dans le film? Hadas, elle pense que finalement, elle ne se considère pas vraiment comme une femme réalisatrice, juste, elle sait ce que c'est de filmer l'intimité, parce que dans son premier film, elle a joué dedans, donc elle est passée par là elle-même. Donc ça lui donnait peut-être un avantage. Et puis le fait d'être forcément une jeune femme pour diriger une autre jeune femme dans des scènes où il faut être très attentif et sensible, forcément ça lui donne peut-être une meilleure connaissance de cette sensibilité-là qui est nécessaire. Elle dit qu'elle travaille actuellement sur une série qui va pas mal parler de MeToo et où il y a aussi un coordinateur d'intimité pour du coup les scènes sexuelles et qu'elle se rend compte aussi à quel point c'est important d'être délicat sur ces sujets-là avec les personnes qui doivent jouer, même si c'est des gens qui sont en confiance et qui ont confiance en eux ou en elles. Et que c'est particulièrement délicat pour une jeune femme. Peut-être que si c'était un homme réalisateur d'un certain âge, ce serait un peu inapproprié ou un peu différent. Mais c'est surtout une question de sensibilité en fait, pour comprendre comment gérer en fait, ces scènes-là.
Et Elisheva, vous voulez compléter?
No, just said that it's, and for me it gave me confidence because it's a girl, it's a woman, so it's easy to trust and not to think that like maybe he had another idea in his mind or whatever.
Oui, pour une actrice, c'est plus facile que ce soit une femme qui la dirige dans ce genre de scène, parce que si c'était un homme, elle pourrait se dire peut-être qu'il a d'autres idées en tête, etc. Alors que là, non, elle est en confiance.
On peut peut-être prendre quelques, sauf si vous vouliez rajouter autre chose, on peut peut-être prendre quelques questions. We can take some questions.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Avez-vous des questions?
Oui.
Oui.
I can speak without microphone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for the film. It was really wonderful, and I'm sorry that this room is not filled enough. I think this should have been the case. There should have been more people. I don't know why it's like that. What I wanted to ask is, I feel like this film is a portrait of a generation, and it feels pretty universal. Do you think there is something specific to Israeli youth in this film? Is there something specific to Israel, or is it, because it does really feel universal, do you think there is something specific to your country and to your culture?
Thank you so much. And in order to fill this room, please share our film with your friends and social media.
Parlez-en partout, vous pouvez.
But for the other question you have, I think that in general I will say yes. I think it connects us all as a society, and it's not about Israelis. But if I do need to think about something, I always think that let's say the character of Max, while he is standing in front of this door and he cannot go inside because he doesn't remember the code, what he chose to do is to crash into this door because he needs to get inside, and so that you see some signs of violence, I would say, or like, and I think both Avishagi and Max, they have a bit of this dissociation of like having this hard time to really connect with themselves. I think those kind of things are. I'm not a sociological person, but I do think those things are a matter of living in a country which is full of stress and fear and which is inside a conflict constantly. I know that when I'm working in this city I feel different, and when you live in Israel you feel the stress all the time, and it makes you a different person. And I did not think about that while writing, but while I'm watching this film sometimes I do think that the characters and the people that we are a resolution of how we were living.
Donc est-ce que c'est un film qui est vraiment universel ou qui est plus sur la jeunesse israélienne en tant que telle? En fait, même si à l'écriture, ça n'a pas forcément été pensé pour être un film spécifiquement sur la jeunesse israélienne, il y a des choses dans le film qui, en le revoyant après coup, font penser à Hadas qu'en fait, il y a des choses qui sont quand même très liées à la situation du pays, au stress, au fait de vivre dans un pays en guerre, où il y a du coup une ambiance particulière. Notamment, elle parle de la scène où le personnage de Max essaye de rentrer et qu'il n'a plus le code, il l'a oublié, et donc son réflexe pour rentrer, c'est de se jeter dans la porte. Et elle dit que voilà, cette forme de violence et aussi certaines réactions du personnage d'Abishag montrent qu'il y a une difficulté de ces personnages à se connecter à eux-mêmes, une forme de dissociation, qui ça lui paraît être pas mal le résultat justement du stress auquel ils sont soumis en tant que personnes vivant dans un pays en guerre.
Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions?
Non, mais c'est moi.
En vrai, pour la vidéo, ça serait peut-être...
Ça serait bien, je crois.
Bon, déjà, bravo. J'ai adoré le film, vraiment, c'est un très beau film. Bravo à toutes les trois. I have a question for Elisheva. When you first read the script, how did you react to your character's evolution from chapter 2 to chapter 3, and how she builds this two different kind of relationships in a very short time? How different it is? How did you first interpret like Abishag's change, sudden change?
Yeah. Thank you, darling. I know her. First of all, when I read the script, it was when it wasn't written like fully. Hadas showed me just the last part, and then I told her that I need to act and not she, because she wanted to act in this. And then it starts me like inside of this movie, and then I read the second one, and I wasn't sure that I'm gonna be there. Then I met Lev, that I'm like now telling all the story, but I met Lev before we became together. I read the second one, and I thought like he could be very good in this part. And like a few weeks after, out of nowhere we became together. I didn't thought about it from the beginning. So in kind of way, I was casting him to the movie and to my life. And by the, okay, so the way Abishag doing, like, developing, I think, yeah, the evolution of Abishag. I think like with a boyfriend that they are kind of very intimacy and open. It's just a idea of how to be, how kind of person to be, or like what your desire, and they are together. They can like they trying the thing that they have in their mind, and but everything is go fast, and I think the only time that somebody really look at her and ask her like what's going on, like I see that you are running away from something. It's with the older guy, and it's the first time that there is a quiet and somebody. In Hebrew, the title is somebody will love somebody, but it's not like what my mother say. You remember? My mother called the title a different title. She said like, somebody will see somebody, and I think the first time that somebody like see her, and so the develop is just to breathe. First time she's breathing, and yeah, this is, I think this is the answer.
Yes.
It's enough.
Donc la question portait sur l'évolution du personnage d'Abishag entre les différents chapitres. Et en fait, donc, déjà, Elisheva racontait comment elle avait eu le rôle en disant qu'au début, en fait, elle avait lu le script, il n'était pas terminé, et Hadas voulait jouer le rôle elle-même. Et finalement, Elisheva s'est dit que ce serait bien qu'elle le joue. Et puis, entre-temps, elle a rencontré donc, l'acteur qui joue Max dans le film. Et puis, donc, la réalité et la fiction ont avancé un peu parallèlement. Et puis, en lisant la dernière version, voilà, c'était sûr que c'était bien que ce soit eux deux qui jouent. Et en fait, le parcours du personnage dans le film, c'est d'abord, ensemble, ils essayent de tester ce qu'ils ont en tête, de voir comment ils peuvent être ensemble, et ça va assez vite. Et du coup, ils essayent. Et puis après, quand elle va rencontrer donc, le personnage plus âgé dans la dernière partie, c'est la première personne avec qui vraiment elle va comprendre qu'il faut parfois prendre le temps de se poser. Elle va pouvoir respirer, avoir quelqu'un qui la regarde. Puisque donc le titre du film, le titre original, c'est Somebody Loves Somebody. Et du coup, elle disait que ça aurait pu être aussi Somebody Will See Somebody ou Look at Somebody. Enfin, l'idée de se regarder, non pas seulement quelqu'un qui aime quelqu'un, mais aussi quelqu'un qui regarde quelqu'un pour la première fois, et donc d'avoir l'impression qu'enfin quelqu'un la regarde et qu'elle peut prendre le temps de respirer.
Pardon, je rajoute juste une petite question pour Hadas du coup. Je vais juste rebondir. Is this a kind of criticism against relationships today and how they are built and how fast they go? Because from chapter 1, I think that's a kind of thematic we see from chapter 1 with the pregnancy, with the way she says, I don't remember the name, the character's name.
Danny.
Danny, yeah. The way she says, yeah, her criticize about fast relationships and how it evolves. Is it like your kind of criticism, I guess?
Thank you for your question. I don't think it's a criticism, it's more like mirroring, but I would not say it's about relationship in particular. It's about how fast we live in general. I think Danny, at the same time that she critiques the relationship between him and Avishag, she also does not tell him the reason that she came to the party, which is she's pregnant from his child. And through the whole episode, we do not know if she is really indifferent about the situation as she seems to be, because she's saying, yeah, I will do an abortion, I cannot drink, and so and so. But you cannot really tell if she really does not care and she sees this situation with the baby as a medical situation, or she really hides a story, hide a secret, or like she hiding her feelings from herself. And I think this first episode is the most loud episode in a way, because we are going through this maze in this house and it's very loud, and this woman who she's in contact with tells all her darkest secrets to her, and everybody are so opening up. And it's a really, again, I will use this word dissociation, because it from one hand you see people who are very opened up, but the other hand you don't know if they really connect to their feelings. And so at some point you cannot really tell if people are acting and saying the things that they really feel. And the resolution of it is that when you go into a relationship, which is in chapter 2, when you're so not connected to yourself, then you do things in relationship that are what you want to do, because she's saying spit on me and strangle me and so, but and he does exactly what she wants, but she does not really want it, and he can't really see her. And so the point is that we are not connected to ourselves, so then it will affect our relationship and everything else.
C'est pas tant que ce soit une critique des relations amoureuses aujourd'hui, c'est plutôt une façon de les refléter, et c'est plutôt une critique de la rapidité avec laquelle tout va dans notre société aujourd'hui. Et donc l'exemple du personnage de Dani dans la première partie, c'est peut-être celui qui est le plus clair, parce que voilà, elle va dans ce labyrinthe qu'est la maison, etc. Elle a l'air très à l'aise pour parler d'une façon très médicale du sujet de l'avortement qu'elle devrait subir. Et en même temps, elle ne va pas en parler directement à Max, elle va plutôt parler de sa relation avec Avishag, etc. Du coup, en fait, c'est aussi beaucoup un film sur le fait que voilà, les gens sont dissociés, ils ne sont pas connectés avec eux-mêmes. Et donc on ne sait pas trop si eux-mêmes ils sont en train de jouer ou si ils se mentent à eux-mêmes sur leurs propres sentiments. Et ça montre bien après, quand on arrive dans la deuxième partie, que quand on se met en couple avec quelqu'un et qu'on n'est pas connecté avec soi-même et ce qu'on ressent, on peut se retrouver dans la situation d'Alisha qui demande à son compagnon de faire des choses, et en fait quand il les fait, elle se rend compte que c'est peut-être pas ce qu'elle voulait vraiment, et lui il ne le voit pas.
I think at the ending scene you can see like they're like yin and yang, like they're this really wild girl and this really protected guy who's also almost virgin-like. And you can't really tell, like he's very connected to his feelings and she's very dissociated, but I don't know if I want to be him or I want to be her. I don't know what's better. I would never want to be him. Like he's really romantic, like he's really sensitive and he's amazing and everything, but I don't want to be him. I want to experience things in my life, even if it have a price. So at the end the film say, I don't know who's more liberal, I don't know who's more free. Both are, you know, different kind of freedom, different kind of a way of life. Both have good and bad.
C'est un peu le yin et le yang, ces personnages, puisque finalement, elle a l'air très libre, presque sauvage, etc. Et lui, beaucoup plus sensible, romantique. Mais en fait, Hadas dit qu'est-ce qui est mieux d'être lui ou d'être elle, qu'elle n'aimerait pas être à sa place à lui. Parce que finalement, elle préfère vivre des choses et expérimenter, etc. Et on va pas dire.
Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions? Moi, j'ai une question sur pourquoi cette chanson Message personnel de Françoise Hardy?
Parce que j'ai...
C'est un de mes moments préférés du film.
Parce que I will try to answer in...
You understand? Yeah.
Oui, oui, j'ai compris. J'ai une copine, et il dedicated pour moi. C'est seul. That's it.
D'accord. Okay.
D'accord. Ouais. Ouais, I did it right? Merci.
Il y a une question, je crois, de madame.
I really liked the movie. Thank you very much for this. It was really interesting to see how you reflect the relationship between a woman and a man and the intimacy between them. It was really, really interesting for me to see this generation that you describe really connected to the digital portable, etc. And I was really inside the relationship between the woman and Max, you and Max, and suddenly I was really surprised to see this woman to be with the old man, and so I was wondering if it was, of course, by purpose, but is that generation is reflected? That this kind of generation means that there are more traditional or something more calm or more yes, what is she's looking for in this man? I was wondering about that because it's so funny to see that guy which is so opposite about with her. So it was really interesting to see that. For me, it was that she was looking for somebody which reflected something like paternal or something like this. But I was really interesting to have your answer about that.
Thank you so much for your questions. Yes, I think that sometimes during screenings, while Avishag is going towards Dror and want to kiss him, people at the audience yell, "No!" And this we hear quite often because you kind of want to protect her and you feel it's the bad thing, whereas the film does not see it as a bad thing or a good thing, and it's not even sexually what's going on between them, even though it have this sexual aspect of it, but it's not going there, and the relationship is neither sexual nor parental, nor they're not friends, nor nothing to each other in a way. Like you cannot describe the relationship, and you know it will not continue. There will obviously will not be a couple, yes. But he gives her something, and she gives him something, and that will probably will change their life in a way that would be very meaningful. I think that what I wanted at the beginning to do while I was writing the script, as Elisheva said, the first part I wrote is the third part. I wanted to write a story about a young girl who's fascinated by an older man, which is like reversed Lolita in a way, because I really wanted this really much bolder girl to be attracted to this very romantic and very pure guy. And in order to show how come she's so attracted to him, I wanted to show what happened before. Maybe you should translate and then I'll continue.
Donc, en fait, c'est la troisième partie qui a été écrite en premier, donc la partie entre Dror et Abishag. Et qu'est-ce qu'elle va chercher chez cet homme qui est beaucoup plus âgé, et tellement plus âgé qu'en fait, parfois, dans les projections, quand elle s'approche pour l'embrasser, les gens crient non dans la salle, parce que c'est pas... La question, c'est pas est-ce que c'est bien, est-ce que c'est pas bien. En fait, le film ne juge pas ça. C'est plutôt, en fait, ils vont s'apporter quelque chose mutuellement. C'est pas une relation qui va aboutir sur un couple, c'est pas une relation de parents à enfants. C'est pas vraiment une amitié non plus, c'est juste qu'ils sont tellement différents qu'en fait ils s'apportent quelque chose chacun mutuellement qui va être important pour eux par la suite.
So yeah, and the reason, once you can see the life she's living in and how the price that she's paying. I mean, like you see the first woman and then this relationship with Max is, she wakes up and she doesn't feel good and she can't say to him that she doesn't feel good and she can't really say to herself, and everything is so unclear. And then when she goes to his house, she feels at home. I think what she's looking for is maybe a home and someone who will see her and someone who asks her, how are you? And someone will be silent with her, and someone will be vulnerable with her, and she could be vulnerable with him as well. And I find it interesting to end those two people together as a suggestion for a relationship which is all, at the same time cannot be a true relationship.
Donc pour expliquer comment le personnage d'Abishag en arrive à cette troisième partie, donc après les deux premières parties ont été écrites, et donc on voit son cheminement et comment en fait elle se sent pas bien après les moments qu'elle a passés avec Max, mais elle n'arrive pas à lui dire, et elle n'arrive peut-être pas à se le dire à elle-même, et du coup elle va chez le personnage de Dror, et là peut-être que ce qu'elle cherche en fait c'est une maison, elle se sent comme chez elle, elle se sent à l'aise, et elle a l'impression qu'avec lui elle peut être vulnérable, et lui peut être vulnérable aussi avec elle. Et donc voilà, Hadas trouvait que c'était bien de finir avec ces deux personnages en se demandant quelle va être leur relation, même si on sait qu'il ne peut pas y avoir de vraie relation entre eux.
I think also before she's kind of not using him, but like it's just for a job, for getting money. And then when she's in his house, when she wake up in the night and she see him on the sofa, he looks so vulnerable. And I think this is the first time she feels at home in a way. Like he's there, yeah, and also like being sleeping, it's like the most like vulnerable situation, and I think this is the moment that she decided to stay, and she's staying even more.
En fait, au départ, elle va chez lui uniquement pour le travail et pour l'argent. En fait, c'est quand elle se réveille la nuit et qu'elle le voit endormi sur le canapé qu'elle se rend compte à quel point il est vulnérable, parce qu'on n'est jamais aussi vulnérable que quand on est endormi. Et c'est là qu'elle décide en fait qu'elle va rester au moins dormir et peut-être un peu plus longtemps.
I saw also that the object of the vinyl platinum was really interesting to see that she was attracted by that, and maybe just on that moment not by her phone. Maybe it was also something more quiet, more vintage, I don't know, something like she was looking for something visible.
Yeah, it's this the comparison with her phone and the X Factor audition, and this a song by Leah Goldberg, and really well-known poet in Israel, and she's listening on the Patifon, and she's in his house, and everything is so romantic in a way. She falls in love with him through this house because she's there alone, and she's drinking his wine, and she's looking at his painting, and she's at his pool which full of leaves, and it looks like nobody lives there, and she's like following his kind of abandoned house of this older guy who keeps bees, but something there attracted her because it's so not similar to her world and more romantic in a way.
And the singer was Eric Einstein, right?
No, it's Mati Caspi. J'adore Mati Caspi.
Donc la question c'était sur l'usage de la platine pour écouter un disque par rapport au téléphone. Et en fait, oui, elle est attirée par cet objet qui est un peu vintage, etc. Et en fait, elle est attirée par tous les objets qui sont dans la maison et qui sont différents et qui, quelque part, donnent une atmosphère romantique. C'est peut-être plus de la maison et de tous ces objets que du personnage qu'elle peut éventuellement tomber amoureuse. D'abord avec la platine, puis elle boit son vin, puis il y a la piscine avec toutes les feuilles. On dirait que la maison est presque abandonnée. Et puis il a des abeilles dans son jardin, c'est quand même très différent de chez la plupart des gens.
And I moved to, I'm living in Paris, and when I just moved here, I had like a tablet with a party phone, and it happened to me the same thing because I didn't know how to manage to do that. And I opened the YouTube because I remember like what kind of YouTube it is, and I opened it and I felt like I'm in the movie. It was like really the first days in Paris, and I am in this apartment, and like with the wine and opening the Patifon, it was exactly the same.
Et du coup, Elisheva raconte que ce tuto YouTube lui a bien servi quand elle est arrivée pour s'installer à Paris et qu'elle a trouvé une platine dans son appartement et qu'elle a dû apprendre à s'en servir et qu'elle a ressorti la même vidéo qu'on voit dans le film.
Could you speak about the dogs? Because there's a moment, it's not indifferent that she has all those dogs and she takes care of the dogs. It is well, anyway, it's also the question of how the women behave with the dogs. What is to have a dog, and the difference between having a dog and having a man. I mean, it's very ambiguous, this relationship that she has with dogs. And I think that I think it is not without reason that you have chosen to give to this person, to this character, the role of handling the dogs and having the dogs to be obeyed. And also, there's a scene between the man, the old man, and the dog also. The dog is attacking the shoes, and all this is probably deserves a certain commentary.
Thank you for the question. Yes, the reason she keeps his dog, and the reason there is the dog in the film is that I have this image of men who have a dog, and he is helpless with her. He said, I cannot take her outside because she barks. And she said, yes, well, dog barks. That's what dogs do. And he's trying to take his shoe, and he's like losing his mind, and he's like so frustrated, and you can see it as like you look like a crazy person, but you can also see it with like your heart goes to him because he's so lost, and he's like a man-child in a way, and it opens your heart to him. The reason I wrote it, it's because of this scene with the shoe that is like so he feels so bad, and he's like, I'm taking full responsibility, and like he's crazy, but he's also really nice and sweet and like gentle, and unlike the other guys she met so far. And that really opens her to him, and then they become a bit closer. And it's also, you know, like a way to tell the story, because if he has a dog and he keeps his dog, that's the reason they are bounded. And you can see Avishag from another angle. She walks the dog, and how she kind of hates them while she's going with them, and but she kind of likes them, and you can see her alone suddenly after you see her all the time with other guys. So yeah, that's basically it.
En fait, la raison pour laquelle il y a des chiens dans le film, c'était d'abord pour la scène où le chien de Dra attaque la chaussure et que lui va être en panique et va essayer absolument de récupérer la chaussure en disant qu'il prend toute responsabilité pour ça. Et en fait, c'est un moment où à la fois on peut le voir comme quelqu'un qui devient un peu fou, et en même temps on peut sourire à lui parce qu'on voit que c'est quelqu'un de vraiment gentil et qui essaye vraiment de faire les choses bien et qui est paniqué qu'il se passe quelque chose de travers. Et c'est aussi le moment où Avishag peut un peu sourire à lui, et le chien, c'est aussi ce qui les rassemble, puisqu'au départ ils se connaissent parce qu'elle est payée pour promener son chien. Et elle, en fait, le fait qu'elle promène les chiens, c'est les rares moments dans le film où on la voit pas entourée de personnes et d'hommes, mais entre guillemets seule avec les animaux.
I think that you have, well, there were two aspects of my question. That the first problem is this girl with all those dogs, and she has to take care of them, and they have to obey to her. I mean, it's not only the question of the reaction of the man about the shoe. It's also the way we see the girl in the street and with these 5 or 6 dogs, and what does that mean? Is it a sort of comparison between? Does she make a difference between being obeyed by a dog or by a man, for instance? You know? It's ambiguous in a way.
Yeah, I understand what you say. I did not mean that, but it's a really interesting way of seeing it, and to link it to the way she's acting with men. It's interesting perspective. Thank you.
Donc on a une analyse qui n'était pas forcément voulue par Hadas dans le film, mais du parallèle éventuel entre la façon dont se comporte Avishag avec les chiens qu'elle promène et qui doivent lui obéir, et avec les hommes éventuellement.
Okay, thank you. I will love the movie. In the chapter 3, there is this long discussion about religion, and is this generation like away from religion now? Even the older guy is really critics about like.
Again, what?
Is this generation away from religion?
Okay.
And even the older guy is really critics about it. So I'm wondering like your point on it.
I grown up in a very religious house, and actually when I met Hadas, she really liked we are kind of a group of friends that we all ran away from religious house. We are very wild, but we are not really wild. We have really like boundaries of our life. And I think it's also why Hadas chose Hadar. She's also part of the gang. So no. So religious is it's like a question in life, but I don't know how, like if it's all generation, because it's my kind of like a gang.
I think if you ask only about the movie, then it's a picture of some group of people, not religious, secular, in Israel or some other places all over. In Israel there are also sections which are very religious, and it's very different there. So it's only from my eyes as an actress, but it's different for every group, je pense.
And also in Israel, you cannot ignore the religious, and God, it's everywhere. It's like we are so small, and we have so many different kind of groups, and religious is, and God, it's something that it's there all the time, even if you want to ignore it, and even if you don't want to ignore it. There is somebody, a rabbi will walk in the street next to you when you're doing drugs on the street or whatever, but it's together, it's Israel.
Donc en fait, Elisheva Weil disait qu'elle vient d'une famille religieuse et que dans leur groupe d'amis, en fait, ils sont plusieurs à être sortis de ça, de la religion qui leur a été inculquée, d'essayer d'avoir des vies plus libres, etc. Mais c'est vraiment une question de groupe. En fait, il y a des personnes qui sont plus versées dans la religion et d'autres qui s'en sont plus séparés, mais c'est pas parce qu'on voit plutôt des gens qui réfléchissent là-dessus dans le film d'un point de vue maintenant extérieur que tout le monde est comme ça en Israël. Au contraire, en Israël, la religion, elle est partout, on en entend parler tout le temps de Dieu, etc. Donc c'est difficile de l'ignorer, qu'on veuille l'ignorer ou pas.
For me, people who were religious and are not religious anymore because they chose not to, for me, they are the most fascinating group of people in the world, because I think they chose their life, and once they went out of the religious world, which is very, very close, from that point on they are choosing, and most of the people do not choose their choices. I think that Elisheva, for instance, is she's the most free person that I got to know. And I think that this is my perspective of unreligious people, that you either go out like Elisheva, who is really, really free, or you are kind of still religious but not religious, which is Dror. And Dror went out of the religious world, but he's still very kept, and he is still very restrained, and he's still in his house and maintaining a really low-key life, because he could not really get over of his past and the fact that he tried to kill himself, or that his parents did not want him to leave the yeshiva, and so and so. And he's still his mindset is not free. And I really, as I said, I find those people fascinating. This is why I wrote about this kind of character, not because religiosity, because the person he came out to be.
En fait, ça la fascine, Hadas, les personnes qui ont réussi à sortir d'une éducation religieuse, parce qu'elle considère que c'est une forme de liberté d'avoir réussi à sortir de ça, et qu'en gros c'est un vrai choix que les gens font une fois qu'ils ont été éduqués dans la religion, de choisir de se séparer de ça, et qu'en ça le personnage de Acha comme Elisheva est plus libre, alors que le personnage de Dror, même s'il dit qu'il a laissé ça derrière lui, en fait il vit une vie qu'il ne doit pas faire de vagues, puis il a pu se faire du mal à lui-même, etc. parce qu'il n'est pas complètement libéré du carcan religieux dans lequel il a grandi. Et voilà, tout ça, ça la fascine. C'est pour ça qu'elle a voulu écrire sur ce type de personnage.
Est-ce que vous avez d'autres questions? Oui.
Ce sera pas une question, ce sera juste une remarque. Je vais précisément parler en français parce que j'ai le mot qui m'échappe en anglais. Donc j'espère que vous allez pouvoir trouver la traduction, si ça me turlupine en tête depuis tout à l'heure. Donc désolée si je ne parle pas directement. Donc déjà bravo en fait pour ce film que je trouve vraiment touchant à plusieurs égards, parce que ça montre en fait comment faire attention à l'autre, que ce soit dans l'écoute, que ce soit dans le regard, dans le partage, et que c'est plus effectivement une question d'intimité que de sexualité en fait. Et pour rebondir à ce qui vient juste d'être dit auparavant sur cet aspect religieux qui infuse en fait toute la société, l'imaginaire, de toute façon, et la relation à l'autre, on a un terme en français qui est le terme consacré, qui, dans sa racine, son radical, le sacre, est très connecté au religieux. Et je trouve vraiment très intéressant, justement, le plus beau moment, le moment le plus tendre, le plus attentif et le plus attentionné, c'est justement la minute passée ensemble, quasi dans le silence, et c'est là où je parle de consécration, c'est-à-dire on consacre une minute à l'autre, on est pleinement avec l'autre, on est tous les deux ensemble. Et je pense que ce terme a vraiment tout son sens à ce moment-là, parce que c'est peut-être ce qu'il y a de plus beau à partager, c'est effectivement cette consécration tout entière à l'autre.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I don't know the word in English for consecrated. Consecrated. So she says that at the end, the moment of silence is the moment she consecrated each other. They consecrated each other.
What is consecrated? Yeah, devoted.
Devoted.
Consecrated is a kind of. The more religious moment is when they are together in the silence, because they are entirely devoted to the moment to each other. And in French, we have a word consacré.
Like dedicated, but with more sacred.
Yeah.
With sacred.
Sacred, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Consacré, sacred with kind of, so.
Thank you, that's really nice.
Yeah, actually, I saw the movie yesterday after a long time, and I felt in this moment that it's the most intimacy, because even though, because they are together and they don't even look at each other's eyes, but they are really like they are themselves together, and this is the most intimacy, I think. And I really like, it was marked yesterday, so it's nice that you say it.
Oui, c'est effectivement le plus grand moment d'intimité dans le film, c'est ce qu'elles se sont dit aussi en le voyant.
Also, a last word. Just really, there is something in words that is dividing from us. It's like borders, it's like letters. So, silence is the most together, maybe.
Dans les mots, il y a quelque chose qui nous divise et qui se sépare de nous quand on dit, alors qu'en fait, le silence est peut-être la meilleure façon d'être connecté à soi-même et à l'autre.
So, hi everyone. I wrote this down because it's a bit of a long thought. I hope it makes sense. So I'm Hila's cousin, so proud to be here.
Really?
Yeah. So, first of all, the movie really keeps you at the edge of your seat the whole time. You feel like you're in a tornado. Like all the time, it's super intimate, super upfront and close, and I think well done. When the movie ended, I felt like the beginning, the kind of introduction ended. I was like,
what's your name?
My name is Alon.
Now keep going.
So it felt like when the movie ended, in my mind it was just the opening of the story. So that was a bit, that was interesting. And also, there's a big theme of self-harm throughout the movie, right? Things that maybe we take for granted today, with smoking, drugs, physical abuse, and the scene where basically she stays to sleep in this kind of stranger house, right? Someone she doesn't know, and really exposing herself to a kind of danger that doesn't really make any sense, right? So that, along with a few decisions that were made, for example, when she takes the bottle of wine and she masks it, right? She's hiding that she took it. So there is something sinister about this character. She knows she's doing something wrong and she's hiding it. She's not really making herself feel at home, right? If she would felt at home, she wouldn't hide this, in my mind, of course, my interpretation. And then taking another thing, which is is the decision to have so much nudity and so much vulgarism in the scenes, right? Which is, it's okay, it's definitely an artistic decision, but it's in your face, the whole movie. I come from a religious background also, so for me, nudity and God, all of these subjects are very close to home. And so, you know, it's a very strong decision to put both genitals on camera for so long, right? So all of that really feels like it's more than vulnerability and more than being connected to ourselves. And I'm from Israel. I grew up in Israel 30 years, right? I know what it's like to live in Israel. I lived in the US. I live in Paris now. And it seems like there's a level of not even being able to acknowledge the reality that we live in, right? That level of self-harm, violence, stress. I think you're bringing a picture of Israel to the camera that is very powerful. It's beyond, of course, the relationship and being able to connect with ourselves and how that comes to the to our relationships, but also the fact that we live in an environment that is so self-harming, and that's also the normality today, right? If you go in Israel and Tel Aviv, there's, not only in Israel, not only Tel Aviv, right? The drugs, the use, all of that. And of course the tension with the Palestinians and that environment. So I think you brought it very nicely to the movie, and it's very powerful. So I think that really spoke to me. But I do want to understand those decisions. Why is she hiding the bottles? Why is that? Because it doesn't connect to me so much with the rest of the story. Right? Why is she doing that? I don't know if it was just a well thought or just like a small thing that I noticed. And your thoughts about what I said. Have it here.
Right, we're consulting here.
No, but it was
Okay, guys,
because it's true that it's not really a personality.
Yeah, okay. First of all, thank you so much. Like, you spoke really nicely, and thank you for your thoughts and for writing it down. We appreciate it really much, and we agree with everything you said. About the battles. Let's talk about the battles. No, see that, you know, when we lost him because of the battles. Okay, when a person, you know, when a character have a turning point in scripts, when does it happen? It's when she meets a person who make her act not like she usually acts. So I think that once Avishag meets Dror through his house, she will. Well, if she was in a different guy's place, she probably would not hit the buttons. But when she meets Dror, she acts differently for the entire episode, and so maybe this is like out of character, but in a way that we will understand at the end that she will let herself be vulnerable in front of him and so on, and she will tear up in front of him and she will be silenced next to him because it brings some other aspects to her.
No, but even though I didn't, like, stealing, it's a character, and I didn't, it's just, I don't know, it's part of it. It's like you don't have to show it outside. It's not like I don't know if it's, I mean, it's not, because it's okay. Yeah, okay. I think it's okay. Try about it.
Donc oui, pourquoi elle cache le fait qu'elle ait pris la bouteille pour boire chez Dror, alors que si on dit qu'elle se sent chez elle, elle ne devrait même pas le cacher. Et en fait, probablement parce qu'elle se comporte différemment chez lui, chez d'autres gens, peut-être que dans son cercle habituel, il y a des choses qui se font, mais chez lui, elle a un comportement différent qui peut-être la sort de son personnage habituel, mais qui va aussi avec le fait qu'elle va se laisser aller à une certaine vulnérabilité et intimité avec lui après.
Thank you very much for the movie. It was a special experiment. because there were there are so many things to say about it, and all that was said was really interesting. I thought it was interesting the different ways of behaving and of showing things. For instance, in the very first part, it was so interesting the way the girl was acting and thinking and was searching, maybe deep inside herself, answers that couldn't be found and that she couldn't express to the said boyfriend. So this was really interesting, and the way she was thinking while she was walking, it was, I don't know, I was touched physically by the way it was filmed. And it was in the second part, it was, I don't know, there were, the character was making love with the guy, and, well, they were cute, and it was not, I mean, they were naked, but at the same time, it was not, I don't know how to say that in English, impudique. I didn't, someone knows how to say that in it was nearly natural.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can
well,
say impudique.
Can we say that? Okay then, thank you. So I didn't think it was impudique. Maybe, well, it made me laugh at the very beginning when the guy starts telling her things and saying, oh, you don't, it doesn't matter to you, right? And then I was thinking, okay, maybe because they just met, but a few months later, maybe this would matter. So it made me smile. And then the guy was, it made me laugh because the guy he was saying something really special, that was special, but then he didn't expect her to have something to say. So this was fun. And then I did love, I mean, the bodies, the way they behave. I didn't, it was nice because I didn't, it didn't make me some watcher person. I have the feeling that I was nearly in a painting, and I did love the colors in all over the movie. I thought it was beautiful, the water, the chairs, the underwear, the lights. It was really impressive. I did like this. And then, well, I adored the scene with the song. It was really beautiful. And then it made me laugh again in the third part when it reminds me Brigitte Bardot saying, do you like my cheek, my nose and everything? And the way the guy says that, he was, I thought he was saying this because he couldn't believe what was happening to him. I can easily understand he couldn't believe it because it seems really difficult to believe this. And I love the difference between the different characters. And for instance, the very first character, who was, I don't know, she was thinking, she was, it's been a long time that I haven't spoken in English, so, the very first character was really connected to her inside thoughts. inner thoughts. While the second one was, I don't know, very fresh, like maybe a teenager in some way of behaving, of moving, and yes, it was interesting because it was difficult for me to understand, to see to what she was connected to. Because at first you said, okay, she is very much addicted to sexuality and to this guy. And then yes, you talked about this earlier. Then she tried something that at the end she was not really interested in. And then you said, well, and the other part, the last part, this was again some other thing. And it was interesting to me because during the whole movie, I was just wondering what was about to happen. And I don't know how to say that in English. Je ne pense pas avoir un esprit tordu. How do we say that? Twisted. But for instance, when the dog a léché son aisselle, I don't know how to say that, you know? So I was saying, okay, what is going to happen now? I said maybe with the dog, I have no, but it's because there were so many suggestions. She was, I don't know, her boyfriend was so cute, they were so close together, and then something happened, and then the other guy, even if she acknowledges the guy in the whole body, well, for me it was difficult to understand the situation. So yes, it was really a special experiment. Thank you.
There is surprise, and then surprise, and then surprise.
Okay, first of all, wow, you spoke so nicely. The way you spoke, I really felt like you understand the film in such a... Wow, it really touched me the way you spoke, so thank you so much. I have two things that I want to say about what you said, that it's like things that I go with as like bullets when I write something or when I direct. So first thing is that I always try to direct nudity or sex and whatever. I don't do it in order to provoke. I always use it to tell a story, and it always needs to be very natural. And natural means that I will never hide anything, but I will never show anything in particular. So it will be just there, and I will use the mise-en-scene and the lighting and the actors and the long shot in order for it to be as natural as possible, so you can just feel you're watching something that is art and not something that is provocation, and you can just feel it. And it's always a way to tell a story. And so I appreciate that you saw it. And the other thing that someone told me when I was young writer, he told me, don't ever let the people know one step before your character. Always your character needs to be one step before. And this is a really good tip for writers, because my goal is to always, you will not know what's going on, and because I write such radical characters, I write characters that can literally do anything. Anything is possible. She's so crazy, she'll do anything, and you don't know what's gonna happen. So you have to watch my film and enjoy it. And yes, so I'm really happy about what you said. Thank you so much.
Alors d'une part, la nudité n'est jamais une forme de provocation dans les films de Hadas, c'est toujours une façon de montrer la réalité, et donc elle essaye toujours dans la façon de mettre en scène, la lumière, etc., qu'on ressente qu'on est en train de regarder quelque chose où éventuellement il se passe des choses dures, mais que c'est pas pour provoquer. Et donc ça c'était un premier point. Et le deuxième point, on m'a perdu en route. C'était...
Oui, je me souviens, enfin, c'est fouillé que je le dise. Le deuxième point, c'est qu'on lui avait donné un conseil, c'était qu'il ne fallait jamais que le spectateur sache avant l'acteur ce qui allait arriver. Parce que du coup, avant le personnage, ce qui allait arriver. Parce que du coup, les spectateurs, ils sont obligés de regarder le film et de s'accrocher. Et donc, finalement, tout peut arriver.
Oui, il faut avoir des personnages qui soient suffisamment leaders et laisser les spectateurs du coup en attente. Et s'ils peuvent deviner ce qui va se passer, forcément, on perd un plaisir de visionnage.
Donc je ne sais pas s'il reste des questions, mais je pense qu'on va peut-être s'arrêter là, parce que ça fait un moment qu'on commence tous à être fatigués un petit peu. Mais en tout cas, je voulais remercier toute l'équipe d'être venue à Paris pour ces séances, et c'est vraiment super. Donc j'ai envie de vous applaudir fort. Merci à vous d'être venus ce soir. Et